6:04. I'll now call to order the September 12th, 2016 meeting of the East Hampton Conservation Commission. The meeting is being recorded. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items?
Potential.
Okay. Being none, we'll move on to our first public meeting, a request for determination of applicability filed by Mr. Bernard Gall regarding sewer manhole at 33 Florence Road, map 115, lot 18. Good name. Please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Mark Darrell from Berkshire Design. We followed the request for determination of applicability. The project was advertised on August 29th in the paper.
Thank you.
And it's a relatively simple project. The RDA, if you have a copy of it or not, I assume you do. But basically, it's an existing lawn, and as the picture tells a story in the back, that there is an existing, this is Florence Road, the existing sewer line in the backyard, proposed with service pipe in and install a manhole at that location. I think these photos probably do a little bit better justice. I took this off the Google today, just to see a little easier. Basically, this is Florence Road. There's a drainage swale in the back. This is the house, and basically there's going to be a sewer service line coming in and a manhole installed somewhere in this location. There's a sewer line here. Just as a relative perspective, there is a chain link fence at this location here. And this is a fairly flat lawn. Again, the neighbor, you can see that the lawn's been cleared all the way back to the stream, same on the north side of it. So again, as far as impacts, once the hole is dug, the manhole's put in, the lawn restored, the only difference that you would notice from the surface would be a sewer manhole cover. So, the chances of erosion or runoff on a flat lawn just with excavating for a manhole is all we're proposing to do with this project. So that's basically it. We didn't delineate the wetlands, didn't delineate things. I think we're far enough away. I don't know how far the wetlands come up from the actual spring to the internet stream. But again, we would be about here, which is about 50 feet from the fence. I don't know where the wetlands are beyond that.
Does anyone else have questions they want to ask first? Okay. Well, since you haven't delineated wetlands, and I apologize for the crossed communication, I would like to do a site visit. Other members of the commission are also interested. I would also like to ask more questions tonight so we can get it all out there. Regarding the site visit, Mr. Gall, you don't want to inconvenience whoever's living there.
There's no problem anytime.
So, weekday evenings, early evenings, or some availability, weekend
Just
mornings,
not,
varies. My availability varies.
Just not Thursday and everything this week.
Okay. So, what?
Looking at some calendar.
Don't do that. Okay. Our next meeting is Monday the 26th, so obviously we'd want it to be before then. How is Monday the 19th or Tuesday the 20th for things?
That would be,
Either works.
yeah, probably Monday.
Monday's better.
Just 'cause
Monday's better?
Yeah.
Okay. Does that work? Mr. Donald, do you think you would be there?
What day again?
Monday, September 19th at 5:15?
Monday looks better. Tuesday, I can't do it.
5:30? That's good. Monday seems to be the general preference.
Monday at 5:30?
Yeah.
That works.
Okay. So no questions. 33? Is there, would we have to park across the street most likely, or carpool?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
So you're parking across the street?
Most likely, yeah, it's a small residential
You can pull off.
driveway. There's
You can get off
space
the
on the
road.
shoulder. How deep and how large an excavation?
It's a 4-foot diameter manhole. I don't know approximately how deep it is. Do you know?
Oh, it should be about 7 feet.
Not a huge excavation.
When do you anticipate doing this work?
When we all get permitted.
This is already done.
Okay. I know it's been a dry year. Given the adjacent resource areas, what, if any, plans do you have for dealing with groundwater if you run into groundwater?
I don't believe there's gonna be any, but,
But in the event,
well, in the event, upstream, I'll dig around the whole pipe and excavate over to the high side, okay? Install some stone, maybe 3 feet deep, install a pipe, a vertical pipe with holes in it. And I'll drop a sump pump in there, and anything that builds up, I'll just pump it out.
and where will you discharge that to?
Put it on the lawn. We'll save some money on watering the lawn.
Sure, I didn't bring up my copy, could I see yours?
Now, you've already pushed the pipe under the road for a certain
Yeah, the
distance?
pipe's under the road.
So how far is it from the road now? Is it like somewhere in the sewer?
It's over near the sewer, yeah.
Where you gonna dig for the sewer?
So this 8-inch sewer is existing,
Under the road for a distance.
Yeah.
and then you're proposing to put, are you proposing the pipe from the end of that pipe to the manhole you're constructing? Or are you just putting in the manhole?
Putting a manhole and connecting it to the pipe, that's
Okay.
existing.
Okay, so you would be, but you are approximating your 100-foot buffer zone based on
No, again, no, not,
based on the center line of this intermittent stream channel.
again, didn't delineate where the
Right.
buffer zone was, I delineated how far it was from the stream channel, but I don't know what it was.
Okay.
We would be at least 50 feet from the fence line
Mhm.
to where the yard is, to where the proposed excavation would be.
Mr. Gall, did you install that fence?
No,
No, it's been there?
that was there.
I'm just wondering why the fence, what purpose the fence served, if it was some sort of demarcation.
Keep the dog and the kids in.
And keep their feet from getting muddy? Okay. All right. Is it a 4-foot or 6-foot?
I think it's a 4-foot chain link fence. but I
Mhm.
remember that- It's a 4-foot chain link fence, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Refresh my memory, I don't recall reference to erosion and sedimentation controls.
No, other than the fact that it is a very flat lawn, you don't anticipate there to be runoff. There's not a cold, you did have heavy rain, it's going to fall down, just have a tendency to run. Obviously, it's downhill, but not a steep gradient, and there's heavy manicured lawn there.
No, my concern again is, in the event groundwater is encountered, you said it's a level lawn and you've got a large wetland system coming down the slope back here. There's always a possibility, going down 7 feet, you might hit groundwater
Right.
and pump and discharge, and I wouldn't want that to carry anything with it. So, okay.
Who's doing the work? You're gonna do it yourself?
What's that?
Who's doing the work?
Oh, I don't know yet. If I get ambitious, I'll do it myself.
And you'll go, sorry,
The
go ahead.
time frame. When do you hope to have it complete?
Well, I want to get it complete before winter anyway. I'm putting it on the back burner.
And the excess soils?
Hmm?
When you dig
Yeah,
to
we'll
put the manhole in,
yeah,
where will the excess soils go?
across the street. We'll load
In
it
an
right,
upland
we'll
area,
load
not
it right
subject to
into the
Wetlands
truck and
Protection
take
Act
it,
jurisdiction?
take it across the street to the neighbor. He's a good guy.
Which one?
Me.
That's just the rumor.
So, why are you, if I may ask, why are you building a sewer to nowhere?
Sewer to nowhere. Well,
Got a-
I'm in the process of doing an A&R, and we're gonna put 4 houses on the opposite side of the street.
Has anything been filed with the city?
Hasn't been filed yet. Will be within, a couple of weeks.
Okay. All right, are there any other questions before we? So, thank you. We'll see you at the site visit on, my memory, September 19th at 5:30 p.m. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Shortest hearing I've ever been to.
Well,
You can stay for the whole thing.
you're more than welcome to stay.
But you have me up here in number 6 there.
Sure, and actually.
Is
we
that
need to,
something Hmm?
One moment, please. We need to formally continue this to our September 26th meeting at 6 p.m. Would anyone care to make such a motion?
Motion to continue the hearing to September 26th at 6 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, thank you. Need you to. Leave that on the next one.
You want me to stay for that or?
Number 6. All right. Our next item,
Are you leaving?
are you leaving or do you want to stick around?
Well, I'm gonna.
Come back
consult-
in?
I'm gonna consult my consultant.
Fair enough. All right. Okay, do we have a copy of this case request in here? Conservation Commission received a request for certificate of compliance.
Want to go print it out?
It's okay, I have the necessary information here. Commission through the city engineer, was contacted through the city engineer regarding an outstanding order of conditions for 6 Davis Street. Apparently, was it you who dug these out, Jess? Thank you. Took a little digging on Jess's part. She found Conservation Commission meeting minutes from September, about 9 years ago. September 22nd, October 27th, 1997. Talking about this, the city did some emergency drain replacement work. Not emergency, they got a notice of it.
15 years ago.
Okay, shush.
Were those
I don't
kids?
like this map.
Very nice school.
Jay hates us all. So, getting back to it, the city had some drain replacement work that they needed to do. They filed a notice of intent and received an order of conditions to repair and replace a 36-inch storm drain between Davis Street and Nipfer Ave. And it was a DPW project. Order of conditions was recorded, however, against one of the parcels. And that is a problem when you go to transfer and you need a clear title. So the city has requested a certificate of compliance for the work that is long complete. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, or would anyone care to issue a complete certificate for the work under DEP file number 151161?
I would like to motion to issue a completion certificate for DEP file number 151-161.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
What's the file number?
151.
Oh, no, no, change.
I saw that. So another
I just changed this last night. Give it a second.
Pens over here. Pens for penless.
We will not change.
Can we update these scripts?
Should we do our minutes and?
Oh, good lord. It's like they wanted it to look like it was from 1908 or something. Maybe it's when those fancy fonts started coming out. in like
I think
97.
that's probably.
And people got creative.
Considering the next month had a different font.
Right.
It looks like they were having a good.
15161.
Yep.
Yes. The next month is actually easier to read, but still,
You need me to scan that?
yeah, scan, and copy for the, oh, we don't have a file, do we? We should have a file. We should. Well, Michael recorded, I think he's still working on it. Okay. All right, done. Emergency certifications, so after all that back and forth discussion, at the previous meeting, we received some follow-up correspondence from DEP via email that I will have to forward to everyone, basically saying Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup considers an emergency for 60 days. And so it is within our discretion to issue an emergency cert for the additional cleanup activities. I have no problem doing that. It falls within.
Or other option would be to not issue an emergency?
And require a notice of intent.
Which they pretty much already did all the work anyways, right? So.
Right, so, if everyone's okay with that, then
Okay.
I'll issue it and then we'll ratify it at our next meeting.
The John goes tonight?
Yes, please.
Okay, I have other things I need to give them anyway, so I'll talk about them first.
Awesome. So, okay. So enforcement orders. Bernard Gall, 37 South Street. I don't think we're waiting any updates until the fall. Bernard Gall off Groveland / former Davies Farm. This is in DEP's hands. Haven't heard anything from them. Have you?
No?
Okay, so it's still in DEP's hands. 47 Carillon Circle, still waiting to hear from DEP. Never heard anything back from our discussions with Mark Stinson at last meeting. So that is still up in the air. And Autumn Properties, rear 161 Northampton Street, potential can come off. That paperwork is pending. I haven't had a chance to prepare it. I believe Dan Buttrick volunteered to take a stab at it.
Yes.
Thank you. There we go. Are there any open space updates?
No, I know that I'm way behind on stuff, but I apologize. I'll get to it.
Anything from the commission? Okay. It's just. Is
Oh,
there anything?
I will note, hold on, that CPA, meeting on Thursday, that, the planning department and the water department this Thursday have jointly put in an application for open space protection of a property in Southampton that is water quality. It's connected to an aquifer and it's directly connected to our water supply. And so there's a cost share between the town of Southampton and the city of East Hampton to protect this parcel. A land grant was applied for to pay for a portion of the acquisition costs. So if it all works out, the town of Southampton would own the land, and the city of East Hampton would own a CR on 25 acres for water quality protection. And so as part of that, at some point, there will be CR language that's drafted, and it's really gonna be under the water department's jurisdiction. Most of the aquifer protection parcels in the city are under DPW jurisdiction and water department jurisdiction, so. But it is a significant parcel. It's right at the, right when you cross over the East Hampton line. This is the tippy top of the parcel here, and it connects down like this is a big triangle. And so we're jointly working on that project together with the town of Southampton. So that's the big open space project that's happening right now.
Great. Is there anything we can do to help with?
If you want to go to the CPA meetings, I would say not this first meeting on Thursday. You're certainly welcome to come, but I think the CPA committee is going to be wrapping its brain around the complexity of the transaction, and the fact that it's purchasing property in the community outside of East Hampton. So I tend to think that that's what they're going to be focusing on as part of the discussion. But as it goes through the process, and certainly when it gets to the final city council vote, you know, the water quality is one of the biggest items in the open space plan. It's a lot of public support for protection of our water supply, especially after winning the award for best tasting water. So, so that's, I think, where you can come and be an advocate, is at that city council level when it gets to that point. And if there's any issues at the CPA committee, I'd be certainly welcome to let you know, and you can come and advocate if it looks like it's gonna get shot down there, so.
Please keep us
Will do.
as additional opportunities to support it.
You skipped the oil, did you have anything?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Okay.
You were out of the room.
Oh, okay, all right.
Basically, I'll recap quickly.
You don't need
That additional email correspondence from DEP basically saying BWSC, Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup, considers it an emergency for 60 days. So I will issue an emergency cert,
Okay.
and we'll ratify it at our next meeting, but I can issue it with a single signature.
Okay.
Okay, compliance updates. Mount Thomas Estates, DEP file number 151248. Dan Buttrick reached out via email to give an alert that the order of conditions was set to expire in October, and that any request to extend would have to have been received today. And I don't believe there's been there was no email.
They responded and
They
said.
responded, no thanks.
Yeah, say thanks, that they would contact the developer or whatever.
Right, so, but that said, it's too late.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do at this point. The regulations are clear that the request has to be received at least 30 days in advance.
Mhm.
So, I guess perhaps the courteous thing to do would be would you mind replying to their response and responding to their reply? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And just saying, okay, FYI, we haven't received anything, so the permit expires on October 10th, and any additional work outside O&M of the stormwater system will require a new filing.
Yep.
Great. Okay, here comes the paper. Hall Street Extension, Jillian Estates. Is the stockpile still there? Oh, hey Mark.
Hello.
Your
Hello.
timing is impeccable.
Oh,
Were you
good.
waiting?
No.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very good. So we just got to Hall Street Extension, Jillian Estates.
Okay.
And is the stockpile still there?
Yes.
Okay,
On that lot?
yeah,
Yes.
okay. So, what we talked about at our last meeting was, going to bi-weekly reports once the stockpile has been removed from the site.
Okay.
Does that sound
Okay.
reasonable?
Well,
We would cut down on the, are we at
Well,
bi-weekly?
We're at bi-weekly
We're going to
now.
monthly?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about.
Monthly.
Sorry, I jotted that down wrong.
Okay. Yeah, he's been slowly removing the stockpile,
Okay.
but monthlies, I mean, there's no changes.
Right, so why, if there are no significant changes and the erosion sedimentation
Right.
controls are intact, why not go to monthly?
Yep. Okay, we'll do that.
Great.
He'll be thrilled.
Great. Bonus. Okay, okay, Pleasant Mills. I have a question.
Yes.
So, I actually got out and kind of along the bike path on Labor Day, and there was standing water in 2 of the basins.
They're supposed to be,
They're supposed to be standing water?
well, because they're wetland replication areas, so they can hold water and then, no?
There've been, I don't
Some
recall that
are.
being, I think we have to like, I guess I wanna check after the meeting, I wanna check the plans, because I don't recall ponds being, like, standing water isn't
Okay.
usually, but it could have been part of that design. But most,
Yeah, some are supposed to be replication areas, others not, but I don't.
So we'll
I don't
just
know
check the
which one's
plans.
which, yeah.
okay,
Well, if there's an issue, I need to know, like,
yesterday?
soon, because we're hoping to close out this week the project.
Okay, so we'll check at the end of the meeting and
Okay.
we'll see. I was just surprised to see standing water when, as of Monday morning, we hadn't had any rain and
That water's been there a while, the standing water, and no
Yeah.
detention, it's been there
it's
for.
groundwater, basically. I mean,
It's, well, because it's shedding from the mills, and there's a storm scepter, and then there's
Yeah.
a pipe that goes under the bike trail,
right.
and then it goes to that other.
But it should,
and then
it should
goes-
either infiltrate or evaporate.
I think if I remember correctly, it gets sent to, it depends on which basin.
It's the two that are close together.
Well, I know there's only two, so, there's one that's more established than the other one in terms of its vegetation.
Okay.
That one has had standing water in it for all summer, as far as I could tell. If I'm remembering correctly, if I'm going back in my brain, but that doesn't mean anything, I could be wrong. Do you,
I don't remember now.
There's one that loop, you can walk on both sides, and there's one that you can just go one way down
Right.
to, if that helps you guys remember.
That doesn't help me, I was
The one that loops around has had standing water and dragonflies and all sorts of little critters that are
Turtles.
happily in there,
Okay.
so, but if it's
I just don't-
constructed improperly according to your plans, but that has not been brought up at all by anybody
Mhm.
of standing water being in there,
Okay.
so.
It more stood out because there was standing water and
Been dry.
it's been,
Yeah.
understatement.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks great though. I was there
Mhm.
over Memorial Day weekend and also over this weekend. Fences are gone, things are mowed, and all the erosion controls are removed.
It is looking good.
Most,
Are the plantings on the slope done?
Yes,
Just some little grass things, but
yes,
it's not
that's-
very extensive planting.
I think that's what the original plans were with those I think it might be
But
a
it's stable.
view of,
It's
I think it's the
pulled
same,
together.
I think it's the same grass that's actually on the board, it looks like the
Okay.
same to me, the same grass that got planted on the boardwalk too towards the end. That's clumps and, has low maintenance to it. I mean, I think that's really has been a big concern of mine, is to invest millions of dollars in this location and, to see trash and potential graffiti happening already and, the maintenance has to be acceptable on that slope and still hold the soil back, so. Anyway,
Yeah, it looks okay now, we've had a couple storms, but not a lot.
and the mulch is not rolling down, which is
Right.
lovely, my concern.
Okay, 15 Cottage Street,
I don't see anything happening there.
anything happening on the city's end? There's nothing, okay. Nothing on the Oxbow. 184 Northampton Street, that, yeah, then that predates the requirements for, reporting. Nothing on Town Beach.
Still looks okay.
Lathrop, they're in the middle of things, but nothing's happening right now as far as I can tell. PCT Mutterfield, we've received reports. Oh, well,
Good.
and Bill.
Stand down.
So, seen some great
My timing was so
articles.
good last time.
I've seen some great articles, in the paper, nice article on the accessibility. And we've got the reports here, and you have plans that are to accompany a request for certificate of compliance.
Correct, and a cover letter that goes along with it. So these are as-built plans,
Okay,
which is part of the requirement.
okay, so that'll be on our next agenda.
Right. For that.
Thanks,
And then we had emailed you a couple weeks ago the actual form and request.
Yep. Okay.
One request is that we'd like to remove the erosion control barriers out there. We try to get rid of some of the weeds
Okay.
that are growing up immensely. The only thing that's growing now is weeds.
Crabgrass?
Crabgrass.
That's holding soil up.
So we'd like to get
Yep,
the erosion control barriers removed.
I have no problem with that.
Thank you.
No.
So,
Okay.
7 minutes, and that's fine. Would anyone care to schedule a formal site visit for the certificate of compliance before our next meeting, or
Do it randomly.
do it randomly? I don't. Okay, so we'll do a site.
Yeah.
Individuals will be responsible for doing the site visit, and I will forward the plans that you provided by email. You provided these by
Yes, I
email,
did.
right? So,
Yes, I did.
I don't know what happened to it.
We won't go with
We don't have those yet.
I don't think I forwarded them yet, and I don't think
Did
that was
I?
anything,
I can forward them after the meeting.
Okay.
If you usually CC me on everything, right? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I must have them.
if not, we
Yes.
could log in and,
I'll forward them.
okay,
Yes, I did. To you also.
thank you. Okay, so, that'll be on the request for certificate of compliance will be on the September 26th meeting agenda. And we'll take care of our own site visits. And go from there.
Do you know when the erosion controls will be removed, just as far as when we do the site visit?
We'll have to get a hold of Pioneer Landscape to let them know it's okay to remove them, so I'm not sure what their timing would be. Probably-
it. I think you forwarded this morning.
Yeah, they've been doing some remedial work out.
Glad you know.
Once I thought I saw them, that's why.
They've been doing some remedial work out there as we speak. So I'll call them tomorrow and try to ask them, see if they can get all that stuff removed while they're out there doing fixing up a few things and trying to straighten out a few last minute things.
Yeah.
What are those giant stone?
Planters.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
so, yeah. they're
They will be
planting-
butterfly gardens or, whatever, they'll be filled with some topsoil and they've already got something in works that they're gonna be planted with different species of butterfly bush and everything else, so.
Make sure they're not the invasive kind.
Yeah, no, these are, no. Well, I stayed out of that little, it was a communal effort by a lot of PCT members and everything else, and some of them are pretty knowledgeable in plant material, so.
Excellent. Okay.
So we do have the go-ahead to remove the erosion control?
Yep,
Yes.
Okay.
please. Okay. Williston Northampton School, cross-country running trail improvements. So you have some revised
Plans, actually,
You wanna share
I
with
sent,
us?
I did a follow-up inspection today after the weekend's rain, and I sent that by email, but I brought a hard copy of it, just in case you didn't have a chance to print it out. The grass is growing perfectly, beautiful at the crossing. Everything is stable.
It's the only grass on the campus that's
It's growing.
How much rain did we get, actually? Does anyone know?
When?
Yeah.
Sunday
Some-
morning?
Yesterday morning.
Yes,
It was
sir.
strong.
I was just up with some very nervous water department employees in the town of Amherst who said that they got 6/100ths of an inch.
Yeah.
They thought it dumped and they checked their gauge and it was 6/100ths of an inch. I don't know what it was.
Oh, yeah, it's hard.
Windy, but it was like a mist.
Oh, you did print
I
it?
did print it.
Okay, I don't
I'll
know.
take.
Sure. Take a look. Yeah, I don't really know. I know in Southampton, I think it rained for about 20 minutes, hard, and then stopped. But it sounded, I think, worse than it, or bigger
The
drops.
wind is
Weird.
really-
It was a little scary. We had a lot of damage. We had a funnel cloud come through on the street over
Yeah, like Gilbert Road.
Gilbert Road.
Oh, yeah, you hit
Yeah.
Gilbert Road, yes,
Yeah, interrupted Melissa's bike ride.
yes.
A
Yep.
little side to go
I
past.
had a few trees in my yard come down, so I was out cleaning up Sunday morning. But it's still a mess over there. It's unbelievable. Reminds you of the October storm that had.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary, you know? So, I also had emailed the revised plans for wetland crossings 2 and 4. I'm sorry, 3 and 4. When we went out to stake out the 4 crossings,
Mark, you want to show them this?
want to see the color? Yeah. Okay. We got a color plan, that's for your record.
We'll throw this at you first, a little easier to understand.
Yeah, and then-
Give you a better perspective.
We need pretty pictures.
Yeah, so when we went out to stake it out, we have 4 wetland crossings that we're dealing with. We're calling this one wetland crossing when you come up the chute, coming up the hill, this is the bridge,
Mhm.
wetland crossing 1.
Just to stop you there, it is actually not here, we actually are going over this area right here.
Much narrower.
Yes,
Right,
much
which is
narrow,
what-
and that's the way it was approved
Approved.
on the detail plan. This
So
was a
this
schematic
change.
plan that we did a while back.
Yeah.
We didn't, for the purposes of this meeting here, we just wanted to highlight what we're changing, you know, from the approved plans.
And then wetland crossing 2, which there's no change to. But as you can see in red, from there over, we found that if we were to move the crossing, the third crossing up to a more narrow point up in here, we wouldn't have to do any work within the resource area. We wouldn't have to install the helical piers.
You just
You can
span
span
it
it.
completely?
You can span it completely. So that, coming
I
across both
I'm
of
getting out of
these,
here quick.
both of these areas, we can span the wetland from one side to the other without putting the helical footings in at all. So we've staked those out, they're there. Wilson has all the wattles and material
Yeah,
on
they didn't
site
get out this afternoon,
Didn't get out
hopefully
this
tomorrow
afternoon.
morning, and that's it.
to install the erosion control barriers, but that's the next step is for them to start putting
I'll
those
check it
trails
out, you know, tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we got stakes in,
Yeah.
on all these crossings in here.
And we
They're identified
reflagged.
1, 2, and 3, and 4. So you should be able to see that we've got flagging there and everything else, so you can't miss them,
Yeah.
okay?
There's pink flags hanging from trees out there, kind of marking the course, is that?
Yes, there have been some
Yes.
pink flags
Because I've
erected.
seen them and I'm like, this must be.
Yeah.
Yeah, the faculty's been out there all over the place, marking, you know, where they want the trail and everything else, and driving Jeff nuts with it all.
Yeah, right.
They're helping.
They're helping.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
So basically, I see this as an improvement. And it's within the scope of impacts that was permitted. So I have no problem with approving this as a minor modification that doesn't require an amendment.
Just as a little side note, I mean, the yellow line was where we were kind of putting the course with respect to the existing boardwalks that keep on mysteriously appearing out there, so to speak, for the trail. So we kind of followed that when we initially did the plans and everything else. But when Jeff was out there and we were out there, we upon closer inspection could kind of figure out, hey, you know, just kind of go over here 20 feet here and 10 feet there, and we can kind of get over some narrow spots and bridge the wetland fingers, and also not have to go through the disturbance with putting in the helical footings and everything else at midpoints. Because we wanted to be able to try to get over there with a lightweight machinery and everything else, so that the course can be more efficiently and effectively maintained.
Great. So, this is in our minutes.
Okay, good. Good.
So when you come for the certificate of compliance,
Yes,
you
we'll
get the
note
project,
that,
please
we'll
note
note that change. Right.
So it's crossing 3 or 3 and
3
4?
and
And
4.
four.
Yes,
Yeah, 3
right, and they're on these plans that,
And Mark provided
Yeah.
plans,
Right.
dated.
right, they've got a revision date on them and everything else, so we've got an
revised
overall
post
plan here.
items.
And actually, we've shown in a kind of lighter line where they were and where they now are.
Yep.
Right.
Great.
Okay, and then, so the details are on the next page
Yep.
with the sections.
So Jim, can you note for the minutes that the plans were revised 8/31/2016?
Dated 8/21/16. Okay.
And it's sheets L-4.0.
Hold on.
Yep.
One
Okay.
dash 1-0.
No, L-4.0
Oh, L dash 4.0. Yeah.
and L-11.0.
Dash 4.0.
No other plans were revised.
Right.
All right.
And,
I know how my memory is.
right, so I got, that's your set, and I also have 11/17 to give you for your file.
Okay, great.
The other thing is, I think probably the way that grass is growing at the bridge crossing, that it would be, probably within a couple of weeks, be able to remove the erosion control barrier there. There's nothing there. They had one tree come down across the bottom of the chute that I cleaned up Sunday morning, and it's so thick with vegetation.
I'll walk through that way when I go to the.
So, yeah,
other side, look at it.
you know, not right away, but maybe in a week or two, take a look at that when you way by.
Should I send you an email when the wattles are in place out there?
What are you thinking? I'll just come Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then, if
Yeah.
it's no problem.
Yep, okay.
Those are your
Thanks.
plans there, okay?
Yeah, good. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Almost set. Hey, Mark, do you know, at the Logan
Yeah.
property, is that gonna be going into construction anytime soon, or?
We just got their planning board decision
Okay,
today.
okay.
They have a
Right.
20-day appeal period, so that's their call.
All right.
He may want to start the first 50 feet of it so he can get off the roadway,
The road,
Yeah.
you know, now, and then work through the winter to clear it and get in there, but at least maybe get the first 50 feet in there so you can get equipment off the road, because there's a lot of fill through there. But, he's busy with other work, so he may not get to it also, so, but we'll keep you up to speed on that, but yes,
Okay.
we have a 20-day appeal period on that, so. All right,
20 days.
Calendar or business?
thank you.
Calendar.
And not calendar day on that
Calendar.
one.
Just curious.
You got, yeah, you are 10 business days.
We're anything 10 and under.
The planning board's 20
Business.
calendar
20
days.
calendar days, so the expiration's actually on Sunday.
So Monday. Does it get bumped?
No,
No.
so they have to, if they have to be,
By Friday?
they would have, well, Thursday when the office is closed. Well, we have to get a certified copy here.
Oh,
So they appeal to
Tricky.
the courts, but then we have to get a certified copy filed here at the state clerk's office.
tricky.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Good night.
Okay, City of East Hampton, Nashwauk Pond Aquatic Veg Management via herbicide algicide, DEP file number 151288.
Yeah, so as we mentioned last time, we did get a follow-up letter, and,
Oh, there's a sign on that.
yeah, we should sign it. Yeah, so this is, I don't think we have this in the file, so that's what happens when you trust me with paper. So I printed this out. These are the herbicide application DO results. They came in before the herbicide application happened, and this is just the letter, July 14th, which I think I forwarded to everybody. Just discussing the results of the application.
I saw Gary out looking at the water last week. Was that just to monitor how it had gone?
Maybe, I don't know, I don't think he's under any obligation to us right at this point for anything, but maybe he's trying to.
But it wasn't for the next application?
No, he's just probably interested or trying to see how it went or whatever.
Yeah.
I did notice an odor coming off the pond over the weekend,
What kind of an odor?
like a pondy odor, more so than usual, but I don't know if that means anything. It is summer, it is dry.
It's stormed.
Yeah. Ponds do tend to smell like ponds after all.
Yeah, ponds, that makes them funny. Okay.
So refresh my memory on that one, it was a one-time deal, or they were gonna maybe do it again?
That's why I was wondering how he's out there. It was one or twice. I
What's
think they
the
were gonna
choice?
see if they had enough money.
Money
I
was
think
the-
money was the deciding factor, so
Yeah.
they permitted the most.
And do we have a sense of whether they're going to do a second?
Not yet, not that I'm
Yeah, we
aware
haven't
of.
heard anything.
But he does note in his cover letter that treatment occurred as proposed. Monitoring the pond has revealed an observable reduction of macrophytes and algae in the pond. Continued monitoring by Gary Golis and the herbicide applicator. Solitude is planned for the foreseeable future. To date, no unintended impacts to non-target vegetation or aquatic wildlife have been observed. So.
Solitude is one of the chemicals they use.
That's the
So the company.
The company who applied the herbicide. Interesting. So, Livin Properties Inc., we just got our update, basically. So, where do we stand on meeting minutes?
I sent Barbara those 4 groups
Oh.
of minutes, June 27,
Those are all set?
July 11th,
And-
July 25th, August 8th. We all approved, we had all those approved, so here are hard copies.
Okay,
When I sent those in, she says she was still missing May 9th and June 13th possibly. And I didn't want to send her what was on here, because I didn't know if those were the real deal, so
let's check the book.
maybe we can verify those. May 9, June 13th.
We should put our names at the bottom of the minute.
What, to assign blame to?
No, just to,
Prepared by?
yeah.
It's like a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's like-
The 1997 minutes noted that.
I think everyone should use a different font for the minutes.
Then we can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or-
that's right.
or-
Express yourself.
Like all times New Roman.
Copper plate.
Just because
Broadway,
I also
come on,
even
Broadway.
know.
Impact.
It's
Kind of like an
we can't
internet
say
meme.
from somewhere else, so that's not sure.
Well, that's right.
Okay.
Irma Gerd.
Focus. So meeting minutes from the, what was our previous meeting, August 22nd?
August 20.
2 or 3?
5th, 4th, 3rd, 22nd?
22nd.
That Thursday was the 25th.
Yep. Yep. There are minutes from that meeting.
Do we have them?
Who took them?
I took them, Jay emailed them out.
Well, I emailed it to you, but I didn't,
Oh, did I?
yeah, so I didn't, because I figured you want to just edit them or fix them or whatever.
I
So you want to send it to everybody.
I see what
I
happened
seem to be
here.
the problem.
So, for our next agenda, I'll include the, minutes
Oh, dear.
from August 25th and September 12th. Good plan?
Good plan.
Okay. Also, just kind of playing catch up here, we received extra copies. DEP sent us copies of correspondence regarding certificates of compliance to superseding orders of conditions that were issued in the early 80s. Both were complete. Both will be recorded. One was to Abishan Realty for 168 Northampton Street. Complete, signed by Brian Harrington. I have no idea what the project would have been. Seems rather moot at this point. The other was issued to Jeffrey Rice of East Green Street. This appears to have been for the construction of a garage and porch with grading along the stream bank. Not sure why superseding orders of conditions were issued, unless there was, it's usually when DEP appeals a permit that was issued.
Yes.
It
So,
was in the 80s.
Abishan was 1981, East Green Street was 1980.
Can you read me the file numbers, addresses, and?
For Abishan.
Put my, I don't even know why I just put my details there. Okay.
Okay, DEP file number 151-24,
For
168 Northampton Street.
168. Whoops. That's Obashan.
Yeah.
Obashan
U
Realty.
C H O N.
Co. Inc. Just the,
Just you and Seminole.
okay.
Another one?
Between Obashan and Audubon, we can all right, ABU.
UB's the interest?
Okay.
Okay.
On managing forests?
DEP 151-21.
Oh, what, that's,
151-21.
wow, this is
Yeah.
really, yep,
22 East Green Street.
Okay.
That's it.
Now
Oh,
to
Jeffrey
the-
Rice.
GEO, right?
Geoffrey.
Joffrey. He goes by Jeff.
Geo.
Jeff, not Geoff.
All right. Got it.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, you have to finish the next one.
So I put that under general business, should that be correspondence?
Yes. Thanks for asking. Now
Oh.
you can move it.
We can't
There's
just
two.
file these, can we?
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, they're just, they're not our documents, so, we have to have no, I don't know what to do.
I would just stick them in a file, like,
Yeah.
old, call it something.
Old stuff.
Old stuff.
Do we have, I wonder if we have the original files for those?
It makes me, I mean, it's 1980, so technically, I think there was a conservation commission, but the conservation commission didn't really do
It's
anything.
in the
because
A's.
The inland,
I won't be there.
because the inland wetlands regs didn't come into existence until 1983, so not really sure what inland, non-coastal conservation commissions did prior to that. Can I ask Henry Kozlowski from Avalon? I think he's been on the commission since inception. Henry, what did you do in 1980? What's it like?
I have something to mention under general business, if you all wanna hear it.
Sure.
Could we say no?
Is no an option?
No. No, no can be an option.
No. What is it?
So stormwater things are changing from, coming down from the EPA, and there are all these new requirements that are sort of out there vaguely and kind of ominously, and they're gonna require MS4 communities, of it, which East Hampton is one, to strengthen their stormwater bylaws, to do all kinds of nasty things, or good things, depending on your perspective.
Depending on where you're sitting.
Yeah, and it's well beyond what the Wetlands Protection Act makes anybody do right now.
Okay.
So it's several years down the line, I forget.
They've been saying that for a decade.
Well, no, they issued the revised permit finally, a decade.
After a decade.
After a decade, exactly. But then I think it gives like certain timeframes to comply with the requirements, like, you know, a couple of years, this first year you have to do this, second year you have to do that, third year you have to do that. But since it supersedes the wetlands, you know, since it supersedes requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act, like, you know, now, new development has to meet 80% TSS removal, and I think under these new requirements, redevelopment will have to meet 80% TSS removal, and you know, it's crazy stuff like that. That could be an exaggeration, or that could be true, I really haven't studied the stuff. But it's like, so from what I hear, is at least right now, DEP doesn't know if they're gonna change the Wetlands Protection Act requirements to address that too, or if, you know, or if the city will be responsible for, you know, meeting more stringent standards on projects, or making applicants meet more stringent standards on projects. But, so the bylaw, the ordinance, the stormwater ordinance is gonna have to change at some point in the future, not too long from now, basically.
So, I'm just wondering if, and I don't expect you to necessarily have an answer, but if you do, great. I'm just wondering if this is gonna be like stream crossing standards between the Wetlands Protection Act and 401, where what complies under the Wetlands Protection Act doesn't necessarily pass muster under 401. So is it whatever passes the more, like, is it compatible?
So the more stringent code has to apply. It trumps
Right,
the other one.
But is it, are where it's more stringent going, you know, gonna be consistent with, like, is it gonna be more stringent across the board? Or is it gonna be more stringent under some standards provisions than others?
Anybody knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess theoretically you could go in and, see what the minimum requirements are,
Mhm.
you know, and then, compare those to the Wetland Protection Act things, but, you know, I guess so, you know, I don't necessarily know if the Wetlands Protection Act would change, because, you know, there's so many communities in the state that are not MS4 communities that,
That's a good point.
you know, why would, you know,
Why would they change it for everybody if it doesn't apply, doesn't apply to
Exactly.
everybody?
right, so,
I'm just wondering if basically someone can say, we're complying with NIPD's. Is it NIPD's?
yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
And
Each-
therefore, we're complying with the Wetlands Protection Act and your ordinance.
Right, I would think that the MS4 standards would be more stringent than the Wetlands Protection Act, probably across the board. They may be different in some ways, you know, related to documentation and, you know, operation maintenance type things.
Yeah, and just where it may end up getting complicated for you as a board is if there's a project that needs both permits and, you know, and maybe there's some parts of the plan that are getting jurisdiction under WPA and there's other parts of the plan that are.
Well, stormwater has to do with where that stormwater is being collected and funneled to, more where it's funneled to and discharged, so. But I know when we created the ordinance, we tried to take into consideration redevelopment and scale of project, and so it'll be interesting. Can you send a link? Not that I have time to read it, but.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
I'm sure there's gonna be
Yeah.
guidance coming from some entity on
I'm sure
this stuff.
there's gonna be guidance coming from lots of entities, and it's gonna be
That's the
like
problem,
that
right.
thick.
Right.
And I don't know if I would be able to keep up with it, just because it's not what I do anymore, you know?
No, but you know, we have
What'd you say?
Just ask Tracy.
Yeah, but there's only so far you can go with not understanding it yourself.
You can only write that so far.
Yeah,
anyway, we can.
Okay.
okay.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Whew, that is the best we've done in a long time. Maybe one.